Hi, and welcome to a new part of my podcast called All Things Paranormal, including UFOs. I'm Deborah Herman, and I have a publishing company called Micro Publishing Media. And one of my imprints is called UFO Books Press, and we also have a partnership with MUFON, Mutual UFO Network, and have published a bunch of books through that brand as well. But I was really taken by the recent congressional hearing on C-SPAN, all about UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. And I've actually transcribed the whole hearing, and I may put out a little booklet about it. But what was so interesting is years ago, oh gosh, it must have been 2013 when I was first starting out as a publisher. I had taken on a self-publishing website, which just wasn't going to work because I had spent so many years as a literary agent curating book titles. And I said, no, I need to do something different. But one of the first books that I was offered was from a mutual friend who was a UFO researcher and a paranormal researcher, very, very interesting, dear man, and had done so much work around the subject of ufology. He had done videotapes, done different books, and had all these binders. And I didn't actually know yet what I was doing, but I at least had a platform. And he said that he had the life rights to a project by this man called Agent Stein, or also he called him Anonymous. And he said that one of the promises he made was that he would get this book published. And Anonymous had to, as they were talking about on this hearing, and they were alluding to the fact that a lot of these people who had firsthand knowledge about Project Bluebook or, extraterrestrials and all of the facts were unable to share any of this information because they were threatened. He had top secret clearance. He was an Army cryptographer. And here's, I don't know if you could see it, but here's a photograph of him as a young man. And I have a photograph of him somewhere in here as an older man. But I honestly didn't know very much about the subject, but I do know that he was he was an Army cryptographer, and he, at the time we did the book, he was certainly alive. And I'll just read this. Here's the book, and this was the first book I ever published, and I didn't know how to do design work or anything, but it turned out that my friend Ron Garner, who brought the project to me, had a recurrence of cancer. So I knew that Anonymous was ill and he was in hospice, and my friend Ron was ill. So I had to pull this together for both of the men. And so it has mistakes in it and everything. It's still available on Amazon under Anonymous and Ron Garner. It's essentially a deathbed confession. Agent Anonymous kept his secrets long beyond his security oath due to threats to his own life and that of his family. He now reveals all he witnessed as a member of the top secret task force charged with investigating the truth about UFOs and alien encounters. Agent Anonymous, who at this time was living, and I'll tell you how I actually found out, because I had no idea who he was and still don't. He would not reveal his name to protect his family. He knew the infamous Project Bluebook was actually a disinformation compilation of cases either created by government or without merit. But he and others like him were shown the real information in case files the government did not want known by the public. He saw with his own eyes the interrogation of a living extraterrestrial biological entity, EBE. That question was asked during the hearings in front of Congress, and the gentleman who was testifying said, I can't talk about that. Well, on his deathbed, Agent Stein said, yes. Now, I've never seen, I'm the messenger and the publisher, but I feel that this man did not live long enough, and neither did Ron Garner, to see a congressional hearing that would even ask these questions. And so I felt that I owed it to them to draw attention to the fact that in his book, before he died, he said he saw with his own eyes the interrogation of a living extraterrestrial biological entity. Agent Anonymous knew that he will not live long enough to see the impact his story has on what we know about our own government and our human history. However, he could not leave the earth without unburdening his soul with what he believes is vital information the public has a right to know. It is Agent Anonymous's final wish that his life and those of the many anonymous people who could not share their stories stands for the value of truth in a democratic society. And this is a picture of my friend, may he rest in peace, Ron Garner. And I'm trying to see if I think I did have a picture of Agent Stein somewhere in the book. But I have to say that there's so much information in here. It's really an amazing book. And, at the time, I didn't understand its importance. And I'm grateful to have had this as the first book that I published. And as I said, I never edited it. It's got mistakes in it. But I think we're going to find now that this is very important information for us to know. And I do know that from the book, and it's been a long time since I read it, that Agent Stein said that the EBE communicated telepathically at first because he was a very religious person. He thought he was looking at some kind of demon. But as he communicated with this entity, he said that it wasn't. And at least this one didn't mean any harm. So I'm going to do other videos about the subject. We have some marvelous authors. If you go to the micropublishingmedia.com website and you look under brands and you look at UFO Books Press, we have other titles. One of the things that the whistleblower said and talked about was technology and multi-dimensions and all of this. And we put out a book last year, I believe, called the ET Tech Book. And it was all about the technology that we can potentially have. And I'm beginning to see the truth in what it is that we published. So I will leave it to you and your opinion. I appreciate you following. Do subscribe. And I'll be talking about other subjects, and I'll be bringing some of my authors on to talk about subjects of the paranormal and also of UFOs. And we're going to the MUFON Symposium, which is in Cincinnati this year. That'll be they'll be bringing in some major speakers, and I'll make sure to get some video to share with you. So again, make sure to subscribe. And thank you for following me in this particular podcast of all things paranormal, including UFOs. I'm Deborah Herman. See you next time.